What's good, y'all, and welcome to the start of this leg of the stream where I'm going to be voting on the different categories for the Game Awards, but I'm also going to be predicting the categories, and I'm here hanging out with all of you over on twitch.tv/GameOnasis, and then I'm going to... Oh, can I clap y'all in? All right, 3, 2, 1. If you're on the Twitch chat live, you should have clapped there, and that's how you enter the stream. I think I like Dishonored 2 way more than Deathloop, just structurally as the story comes together better regardless of the endings you get. Hello YouTube, what's good YouTube? So yeah, let's go ahead and start from the beginning and see how it goes. Best esports event. Some of these I'm gonna skip because I don't know all of these. And we'll just go previous category for each one. No, just my internet. That's just me. I know Deathloop was loved at launch. It's an amazing game, but I've been hearing more people talk about Psychonauts 2 or Metroid Dread. That could be kind of true, and I need to finish Psychonauts 2. But feel free, y'all in the chat, to let me know what your picks are for these categories. I'll talk about each of them. Some of them I don't really know. Like this one, could not tell you. They could have listed anything here, and I wouldn't really know what was going on. Heck, I could see It Takes Two. Let's go to just the previous one. I'm only going to vote when I actually have an opinion. Best esports coach, I also don't have an opinion on that one. Best esports team, we're sensing a theme here. I don't really know esports at all. The only esports team I know is Cloud9, so we're just gonna keep moving. Same with esports athlete. Same with esports game presented by Grubhub, because I'm just not in the esports scene. Here we go. Now here's our space here. Here's my space. Most anticipated game. Would love to know what y'all think here. And it's described as recognizing an announced game that has demonstrably illustrated potential to push the gaming medium forward. That's so weighted for something that we have not... Like with Starfield, we saw the inside of a spaceship once. Like I don't know that this is quite that. Gaming Year competition feels really competitive this year. God of War Ragnarok for most anticipated from Ronnie, and it's not even close. Herman Penido, not to be confused with Herman Holst, says, I played Village, Deathloop, and Psychonauts 2. I picked Psychonauts 2 for Game of the Year. Barely starting Ratchet and Clank, though. Otherwise, Starfield is probably the only one I'll play at launch, so I guess it's that one. Wow. I think Elden Ring or Breath of the Wild. Really? You're going to do Elden Ring, Nanes? It's got to be Horizon, says Dick Grayson. Absolutely Elden Ring. For me, it is definitely the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think it's interesting, because we have three of these games are sequels, and then 2 are first appearances, but from really established studios, being Starfield and Elden Ring, respectively. But yeah, for me, it's got to be Breath of the Wild 2, because that's the one that I like the most. Like, Breath of the Wild, the first one, is like one of the best games, if not the best game ever. Like, it's really damn good. So for me, it's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2. Isaiah says, I'm going God of War. I think it will be the Breaking Bad of games. And show people how to finish a story. Is it the end? Is it just 2? It is 2. He's nodding off on the side. It is just 2. I think Elden Ring will win. Elden Ring is pretty intense. And the one thing that Elden Ring has going for it too is that you actually have played Elden Ring. Like, there's previews of Elden Ring. There was an open beta for Elden Ring. I think that makes it a really strong contender, especially because... And again, y'all, you can vote on this as like a member of the public. And for the actual like winners, it is heavily weighted to like official critics who have like voting power, like the outlets, and influencers. But they do take a small percentage of public's votes too. So your vote does actually count for this. It's not just for fun. And yeah, I think for that reason, Elden Ring actually has a really good shot. That's a good point. Yeah, God of War is the end of the Norse like a lit line of the story. I think the final season of Breaking Bad, but the finale is easily my least favorite episode. I get where you're getting at, though. It's hard to end things. Yeah, episode finales are pretty rough. So, one vote cast. Best debut indie. Okay. We got The Artful Escape, Forgotten City, which I have not finished Forgotten City, but I did beat Artful Escape. Kena Bridge of Spirits, which I'm only partially sure I'm saying that name right. Sable, which I have not played, and Valheim, which I did play a little bit. Valheim was really big for a lot of people. It's not my kind of game, admittedly, so that did not draw me in. Sable seems cool, but it had a lot of performance issues at launch, which is the reason that I didn't really spend time with it. Kena Bridge of Spirits, I'm going to give it to Kena Bridge of Spirits. I think this is, like, by far the best game on this list, in my opinion. Again, maybe Valheim's not my kind of thing. And Forgotten City, I'm still not done with it, but I think it's going to be more of like it seems fine. Like, it seems like a good game, but I'm not in love with it. E says Valheim or Kena. Oh yeah, I should also predict what's going to win in these categories. I think Breath of the Wild 2 will win for most anticipated, but Elden Ring has a good chance too. We got Kena. I predict Kena will win, which is deserved. New poll. Oh, that's smart. Yeah, polling people in these is really good. Best debut indie. Right now, Kena's in the lead for that. I've played, something but Valheim. All but Valheim. I just hope Artful doesn't win. It's not a good game. Yeah, I was not a fan of Artful Escape. I did review it for Pen to Pixels, which is my outlet and a YouTube channel, but I think I gave it like a 2 out of 5. Yeah, it had some fun ideas, but it ultimately was not good, in my opinion. Great art direction, though. Didn't play Sable. Don't want to play Artful Escape. Forgotten City is cool, and Valheim seems cool. Personally, Kena hit my nostalgia bone. Valheim was a really, really popular in the year, but I could see Kena or Forgotten City winning. I really hope Kena gets it. I don't know if that's my prediction. A lot of people like the Forgotten City, but it's also more niche, I think, and that's a kind of a story game. And I know just from being in the industry that not a lot of people are in love with story like that. Oh man, if I had to predict, I'm gonna lean on Kena. I'm gonna put some trust into my peers and that they're gonna go with Kena as well. But I think if it's not Kena, it's gonna be Valheim. I've Forgotten City installed, but haven't started it. What's good, gamers? What's up, Kimbosa? We're here just chatting and predicting. Right now, Kena's in the lead for the votes. Enjoying what I played of Artful Escape and Kena so far. Valheim was fun with friends. Still need to play Sable and Forgotten City. Forgotten City's on Game Pass. Could help it. Yeah, but like you have to remember too, like if we're thinking it's heavily weighted by critics, I don't think Game Pass helps too much in that regard. But again, there is popular voting that takes place too. Definitely voting for Kena. All right, let's continue on. That's true. Content Creator of the Year. I don't have any opinions here on these creators. Feel free to shout out in the chat your favorite content creators from the year. But I personally have not consumed any of these people's content, which also I think is a testament to the fact that like not everyone all the time is going to be like consuming your stuff, but you can still be massively successful. I mean, I think to get nominated for this is a big deal. And this is described as for a streamer or content creator who has made an important and positive impact on the community in 2021. I like Dreams' avatar, so I'm going with them. It is a very good avatar. Oh, Jan Garcia. Oh, thank you so much, Douglas. I appreciate that. Very cute. Scott the Woos and Game Honest assist you. Right? I have no opinion, but Dreams seems like the biggest thing since Ninja. Yeah, like maybe I should hit up Dreams content. Not personally familiar, but I don't consume like a whole lot of like YouTube and Twitch stuff other than the people that I kind of already know through criticism, which is like a very different vertical. Has Returnal gotten any Game Awards nominations? Haven't had a chance to look at the list. I don't actually know offhand. I guess we'll find out together. I think Dreams does a lot of Minecraft. Kena won the chat poll. Janet, Andy, Nitro Rever Cortez, and Little, is it Simsai? Basically all through my boyfriend talking about her. I think I have heard of that content creator actually. Yeah, Game Honest for sure. You guys were nice. Really, really kind here. We're gonna go, let's get best multiplayer. This one I'm not like, actually I played a lot of these games, shockingly. I think I feel comfortable voting in this, and I want to lean on Knockout City. I didn't spend a lot of time in Knockout City, but I feel like it was quite good, the time I did spend with it, and I was surprised by that. Who's gonna actually take this home, though? I think, oh man, it could be anybody here. I don't think it's gonna be Back 4 Blood. Let's do Process Elimination. I don't think Monster Hunter Rise either. I think it's too niche to win something like this, personally, unless it was crazy dope. A lot of people like New World, but I also feel like a lot of people didn't really give it the time of day, even though I feel like New World was like the hidden gem that's also from Amazon Games, which is like one of the biggest companies in the world. But It Takes Two is a really good game, but it's only like a co-op game, so that's my hesitancy there. This is for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op, so it is included, and massively multiplayer experiences, irrespective of game genre or platform. If it's not Knockout City, I actually do think it would be It Takes Two. I would vote Knockout City for this, but It Takes Two is a really good game. It is a very good game among these other competitors. I think it would be either Rise or Knockout City. Really, Monster Hunter Rise. Halo would take it if it was on there. Yeah, but it just came out right after. People love Knockout City. Knockout City's been doing really well for itself. 3 people on a team in Knockout City. 50% better than It Takes Two. That math, man. I'm sick, but yeah, it does a lot of charity streams. Oh, fun. Really enjoyed Back 4 Blood, but Knockout City stuck with me more. Says T-Roar in the chat. Knockout City, Valheim, or It Takes Two. To give it a guilt nod somewhere. There is that feeling, right, of like wanting these games to be recognized and not necessarily always knowing what's going on. Poll only lasts for 5 options. Yeah, you hate to see it. Knockout City heavily in the lead. I know that was really big with like a lot of y'all who watch me seem to like Knockout City, and it's really big in my Discord community too. And by that I mean like Neens, Tookus, and Play It Forward and company. We're rocking with Knockout City for a while. Do you think Halo can hold enough hype to get in the best multiplayer? I think so. I think the Halo conversation will be going on for like the better part of 2022. I don't know if how on purpose that is, but just given like the way they're staggering out their seasons, I think it will at least get nominated. Will it win? I don't know, but I think people will remember to nominate it. And it seems to be of quality as well. My Part Superstars for me, does that count? It does count. It is not on this list, but that is a multiplayer game, has online and everything. Depends on whether they fix the current issues. Elise and I have been playing a ton of Knockout City lately. Yeah, as well. I've seen a lot of folks flock to Knockout City. That would be my vote. I think it's very well made. So shout out to Knockout City. All right, let's continue on. And best sports / racing game. Weird category because sports and racing games, very different kinds of games. There's a lot of fire games on here though. I do love FIFA 22. Like I like FIFA every year. I feel like this is where we give a nod to Forza. Great game. Hot Wheels Unleashed really surprised me though too. And I know a lot of people that low-key really like Riders Republic. Like I've known people who are like, I like Riders Republic more than Forza Horizon 5, which is kind of shocking to me. But people were really into just like the different vehicles and kind of extreme sports you can do in that. I'm going to say Forza. Forza sweeps. Forza Horizon 5 Dawn. Forza Horizon hands down. If FIFA beats all the racing games already, I don't think FIFA's gonna... But FIFA feels like a random throw in here. And it's not that 22 isn't good, because I think they're like good every year, but it just feels like very random among the other sports games. It's my top 5 of the year. Yeah, like I'm voting Forza Horizon 5, but I do want to give a shout out to Hot Wheels Unleashed, because that game really surprised me, though it is, 1, shockingly difficult, and 2, I will say... Some of the loot boxy grindiness of it was a bit of a turnoff for me. And I think the way they like did additional monetization in the game was not ideal for a game that already has a price point. And granted, the price point on Hot Wheels Unleashed is lower than like most like AAA games. I think Hot Wheels is like, I don't know how much it costs. Maybe it's $40, $50. I don't think it's $60. Like confirm. Let me know if I'm off on the price point here. I believe it is cheaper than a $60 price point, but to have that and then also have like these passes and all this other stuff, it was kind of a lot. Sports / racing poll is up. It's funny because usually racing games are thrown in with the majority of sports games, right? Yeah, it's kind of the inverse. I think this is like the first year where there's been, I think it was a good year for sports / racing in that regard, because you had a lot of different options. One game that's not on here that I just want to give a quick nod to before we move on is, gosh, what is it? Cruisin' Blast. Very, very arcadey. Essentially a remake, I think, of one of the arcade games, kind of. I might be botching that a little bit, but I loved that game. It was so much fun. Maybe they can create a, hold on, wait, we're going quick. It's funny because usually, okay, with the racing games, Rise Republic has a really cool creation mode. Maybe they can create a better game in it. I actually think, I liked Rise Republic fine. I just didn't feel like doing another open world thing right before Horizon. Yeah, Cruisin's really good. Where's Dodgeball Academia? I think it's just a new entry. Yeah, Cruisin' Blast. I don't want to like tab out to Google it, but if anyone knows for sure, like what the back of that box says, if it's new or a combo or something. Forza won in chat and it won for my vote, so we're out here with Forza Horizon 5. Best sim / strategy game. Best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of platform. For this, we have Age of Empires 4, Evil Genius 2, World Domination, Humankind, Inscription, and Microsoft Flight Simulator, which like that's like an older one tossed in there because it was hanging at the end of last year, I think. Evil Genius 2 is coming to Game. Oh, interesting. I don't even really remember hearing about Evil Genius 2 World Domination, admittedly. Maybe I fucked up somewhere in what I was doing, but that was not on my radar at all this year. Humankind, I was familiar with. Age of Empires 4, just a little too much for my taste. Flight Simulator, same thing, it's going for, something very specific. I think Flight Simulator is one of the most impressive games, especially from a fidelity standpoint and what they were able to do, like, technologically. But that being said, I gotta go Inscription. I mean, it is one of my favorite games of the year that, like, didn't quite crack my top 10 at this point. Maybe it will towards the end if I can play more of it. And it can knock out maybe, like, one of my lower ones, which are, like, Hitman and Resident Evil are sort of at the bottom of my top 10 currently. But Inscription was really good, and it was, like, deceptively deep in what it was doing with its gameplay in a way that I really appreciated. And I don't like card games. I do not like card games, and I really liked Inscription, which reminds me, well, he has headphones on, but Isaiah, if you're listening to this, you should play Inscription because I think you would really like it. And I really hope it comes to other platforms because it's awesome, but right now I think it's still currently only on PC. I don't like how sim and strategy games are lumped together like that. I will say it's kind of, and this is one of my indicators, and I had this argument with Blessing the other day at EA Junior from Kind of Funny, on what is a niche genre, and I was arguing that racing is a niche genre, and he's like, it's not that niche, and I'm like, and I think even though Game Awards is not the end-all be-all of, like, gaming culture, but I think the fact that, like, sim and strategy are paired together, the fact that racing and sports are paired together, you can argue it's just to slim down the categories, but I think one of those reasons is because they felt like they were similar enough to put together and they don't have quite enough to, like, fill it out. Though I find it odd, though, because fighting game is its own category, so I don't know. So that's Windows only. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. Like, I was thinking about how, yeah, it's Windows only, you don't have your PC set up, but you could play at my PC or something at some time. Heard anything but good things. Move Village up on the list or I'll cry. Village was really fun. For this, I'm voting Inscription also, as I mentioned before. In the chat, the poll in the chat, Inscription is heavily winning there as well. That's my, what's my guess, though, too? I want to do the guesses. My vote is Inscription. You know what? My guess is also Inscription. I don't know why I'm thinking today that everyone's going to think exactly like me, but I feel like Inscription was very hyped this year. So I'm hoping it'll happen. Just because it has a dedicated audience doesn't mean something isn't niche relative to the entire medium. Yes. I was like, it took me a while to, like, process that. Yes. You're a thought leader. That's what they call me. A niche genre is different than a subgenre, though, because, like, car racers are definitely not niche. Yeah. You're right. You are right. That's a good point. Inscription won the vote in the chat. You love to see it. Best family game, a category that never fails to make almost no sense, but it's here every year. It is described as for the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of genre and platform. I never know what I'm doing here. I will still vote, but part of me is like, I feel like maybe only, like, parents or people that are around young children should vote on this. Like, I don't know. And then growing up, I never thought of things as, like, family games. Like, let me know if, like, that wasn't, we all have different experiences, but for me, it's like, you played games. Sometimes they were, like, family friendly, I guess. Like, I played Mario Kart growing up, like most other people. But, like, I also was playing, like, a bunch of other stuff that has nothing to do with being family friendly. Like, It Takes Two is a T for teen game. Now, I'm not shading that because, like, in the sense that I think you can play It Takes Two and not be 13, and that's not crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I also, like, do I want to play a game about divorce with, like, my mom or dad? Like, I don't know that that's the vibe I'm going for here. Mario Party Superstars, I think is, like, a strong contender here. New Pokemon Snap, I don't even know why this is in here, if I'm being honest. Does it even have multiplayer? I played that game, and I don't remember there being multiplayer. It was also boring as all hell. Pokemon Snap was like gamifying watching paint dry. I hated it. I really did not like it. I didn't like it, and I didn't think it was good. Sometimes I don't like stuff, and I'm like, I don't really have an opinion because I'm not sure. I do not think new Pokemon Snap was good. Quinsanity. This is one of the rare times where I won't be doing, at least for this portion, the character redemption, just because I want to put this up on YouTube easily without having to do a bunch of, hold on, we're like totally stuck into many places there. Ignore all that. So I'll redeem that. I was gonna take it off, but then I didn't want to have to forget to, like put it back on. But I did refund you the points. So hopefully you got those points back. I clicked refund. You're right though. So you're saying it didn't snap. Pokemon Snap did not snap for me. And I know people that liked it. I don't know. Maybe it is just me. Maybe there's something, I don't know what's going on, but some people really liked it and I don't know why. For me, and then Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. First of all, not really a new game. A new SKU, but like with like some DLC, a little bit of a stretch. The multiplayer in this was also terrible. And like you can argue that maybe it's really good for like a really young child or something. I don't know. But I played this with my brother and we hated playing it together. We had no fun, which is weird because Super Mario 3D World though, the base game, lots of fun. One of the best multiplayer games like ever. So like what am I really voting for here? I'm kind of confused. WarioWare, just fun. No complaints about WarioWare. It's a good game. Wasn't shocked how well the online worked in 3D World. It takes 2-1 in the chat. For me, God, what do I want to go for here? I don't know. I mean, I guess it's probably Mario Party. Because it's Mario Party. I guess I'll go Mario Party. I mean, I think it's the most fun you can have with, like, if I had to sit down, Thanksgiving's coming up. If I had to play one of these games with my family during Thanksgiving, I would pick Mario Party. Even though I know Isaiah would hate that because he doesn't like Mario Party. But that says more about Isaiah than it does about Mario Party. Mario Party is awesome. I'm going Mario Party. Y'all were bickering so much during that stream. It was awful. It was truly a terrible experience to play. Bowser's Fury, specifically co-op, awful. Best fighting game. We can do a poll in the chat for this. I don't have a big opinion, so actually we'll probably skip voting on this, but I don't mind having a chat about it real quick. Guilty Gear Strive. Heard a lot of good things about. Melty Blood. Totally forgot that was a thing here. Virtua Fighter 5. I don't know. Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl. I'm surprised that's here because, and I didn't spend time with Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, but that's because I don't think it was very good, and it also like wasn't very good, I feel like critically it wasn't like that highly received. So I'm kind of surprised that Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl was here. So I don't know what's with that, to be honest. I don't know. Y'all got your hand on the pulse for fighting games at all? If Demon Slayer takes this, I will scream. Yeah, like I really don't have, this is a genre gap for me. Like I don't know the nuance of fighting games enough to really have an opinion, but the polls in the chat, thanks for making these polls, Neens. I didn't see Nick All-Stars, but what I feel like that would be really odd. Like what does this say about the other games if Nickelodeon All-Stars wins? Start screaming Joe. However, Guilty Gear is the front runner. Nick All-Stars was really bad, says took us talk in the chat. If Demon Slayer takes this, was Demon Slayer also not a fan of? Probably due to the lack of new fighting games. They need to fill it out. Maybe a little bit. Which also, I do feel like best fighting games rough because like not a lot of fighting games come out in a given year that are like mainstream enough to get in here. So it always ends up being kind of like a thin category. Like they still fill it out, but it's always like, what's going on here? Demon Slayer was a generic anime crap. A damning review from Took Us Talk. I did hear that though about it. Virtua Fighter 5 is a re-release. Yeah, Ultimate Showdown. I feel like Nick Brawl lost its hype super fast. It really did. I feel like people were interested in the novelty, and it did get a lot of, I think the people that made Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl did a good job marketing the game. Like it had so much press. Part of that is like the power of the IP, the Nickelodeon nostalgia. But they also did like a bunch of cool like tournaments and promotions for it. Like shout out to that team in that regard. But I think as far as how good of a game this is, I think it's just kind of okay at best seems to be the vibe. But again, didn't really spend time with it, so I'll withhold my judgment. Guilty Gear Strive's taken in the chat. In terms of being, keeping it real, I'm not going to vote in this category because I don't know and don't have an opinion. But I did want to have a conversation. Best role-playing game, a genre, a category that does not have Bravely Default 2 in it, which is insane. That Bravely Default 2 is not in here. But here's what we do have. We have Cyberpunk 2077. No comment. Monster Hunter Rise. Scarlet Nexus, Shin Megami Tensei 5, and Tales of Arise. I think this is one that I also will opt out of voting on, but this one I can speak to at least a little bit. Again, I'm shocked that Bravely Default 2 is not here. That sucks. If Bravely Default 2 was here, I would vote Bravely Default 2. I've heard really good things about Tales of Arise, so I feel like Tales of Arise will take this. That's my prediction. Shin Megami Tensei 5, I haven't heard a lot about it, honestly. Scarlet Nexus I liked. I actually think it's a pretty good game, but I do think it's like just good, you know, like in my, you know, I think critically if I had to review it, I probably would be in that 7-8, that good or great range. But it's not like super special to me. It doesn't really stand out in a big way, but I really like the overall combat in that game. Your like telekinetic powers, and like I liked I think the main character's name's Kasane or something. Like I liked her a good amount, and like I really liked the creature design, the enemy design in that game too was fantastic. So I really like Scarlet Nexus, but I think Scarlet Nexus with like, I don't know, Cyberpunk's a weird one because it's like there's like the game itself and then like the conversation around the game's performance and how well it can run. So I don't really want to put those two too much in comparison, but Scarlet Nexus is among probably the weaker of these categories. Again, not necessarily the weakest, but yeah, it's not that great. I actually haven't played any of these besides Cyberpunk. I would not vote for it in that sense. It's a bad RPG, but an okay game. I still had fun with it. Yeah, like the game itself is not bad. It just was kind of, it felt like really run of the mill to me. The bit of it that I did play, which I got like maybe like halfway through or something. Best role-playing game is in the chat, and people are voting on Tales of Arise, which that's my prediction for who's gonna win. I think Tales will take it easily. Though we never know like what the gap is, right, on the votes and all that. But yep, Tales of Arise I think is gonna take this one. Jason says RPG light at best. Even Witcher had more meaningful RPG things. Yeah, that's the other interesting thing. Like I mean Cyberpunk is an RPG for sure, but it played and felt like more like any other kind of action adventure situation than an RPG. But again, I think it's it being in this category, and that is its genre category. So okay, sure, but again, best mod of the year. Do you want me to keep the poll at 2 minutes instead of 1 instead? Yeah, 2 minutes could. I think 2 minutes is fine. 2 minutes is already pretty short. Arise is a fantastic game. If you haven't tried it yet, contender for my personal game of the year. I just won't have time to get to Arise, unfortunately. Like the year's almost done, and I'm not gonna make it. But next year, I think my goal is gonna be to Tales of Arise 1. Nice. I think one of my goals next year is going to be to finish 1 or 2 RPGs. Like I want to finish an RPG because they were so long that I get overwhelmed by them. Okay, so here's best action game / adventure game. We're about halfway through the categories. For the best action adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, our nominees are Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, anything but Psychonauts. Really? You did not like Psychonauts 2 that much, Play Forward? Other people are saying Psychonauts 2 for me. It feels like a recency bias. It's gotta be Ratchet & Clank. Oh boy, do I have some recommendations for you. I mean, I'd like to ideally do, Emerson Cheney, thanks for the follow. Ideally, I'd like to do, like a JRPG or an RPG coming out in 2022 because I want to keep up. And I feel like one thing that stopped me from keeping up with RPGs this year was like the length of the games and being overwhelmed. Village of Guardians deserves it. Those are the ones I don't expect to win though. Action Adventure poll is in the chat, so feel free to vote there too. For me, my vote for this category is Metroid Dread. I think it's the best game that's here. That's kind of the end of that. However, I will say Psychonauts 2 I have not played quite enough of. I want to play more. I also would be shocked if I would even beating it, if I would somehow fall so in love with it that I think it's better than Metroid Dread. I think that's probably not going to happen from what I played of it, but I think I can have a warmer opinion of it. Same for Ratchet & Clank. I really want to finish that game. I don't know that I will finish that game, but part of the reason I haven't finished is because it didn't really draw me in that much. It's like a beautiful game and it performs really well and like the weapons are still cool and the characters are charming, but it just kind of felt like I've done this so many times that I didn't really want to do it again, to be honest. Village, awesome, fun. for me, and I know it took us, you're like really hot on Village, but for me, Village seems to be the worst of the good Resident Evil games, but the best of the not good ones. Like, it's like on that fulcrum. Jace 910, thank you for the sub at tier 1. I appreciate it. Those Bezos bucks. Actually, no, not even Bezos bucks, because it's not an Amazon Prime sub. It's just a straight up tier 1 sub. So I appreciate that as well. Guardians has surprised me though. I like Guardians more than I thought I would. From this, I'm gonna say I'm voting Metroid Dread, and I'm gonna predict that other people are also gonna vote Metroid Dread. I don't know if that's naive of me. I feel like, man, I think Metroid Dread will take it, but I don't know. Is my profession game of the year, so that's 2. I haven't tried Guardians, but the other 4 are on my top 10 of the list. I love them also. You know, actually, as well, I have 3 of these games on my top 10 currently. Dread, Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil Village. Psychonauts 2, need to play more of. Guardians, I also would like to finish, but I don't think it's going to crack top 10 for me, but Psychonauts 2 won. Are we sure it's not just T-Rory Jenkins on 5 accounts? I don't know. Just asking the questions. Interesting. And I'm surprised I didn't know so many of y'all liked Psychonauts 2, but I think one of my biggest surprises from this was realizing how many people and how much people like Psychonauts 2 across the industry. Whoa, says T-Rory. I had to read that in the crash voice. People just really do not like Resident Evil as horror action. They always prefer survival horror, excluding maybe 4. Yeah, like that's an interesting point. I haven't played enough Resident Evil to comment on like actiony Resident Evil and what makes or doesn't make a phenomenal actiony game. Yeah, you know, you're kind of, I think you might be onto something a little bit there. First half of Village is definitely better than the second. I actually thought it was pretty even keeled the whole way through, generally. I will say you might still be right, but I don't think the difference is that big. Getting called out. I didn't know anyone likes Psychonauts 2. Returnal's my game of the year, says Jace. I think the fact that Metroid, and also this is a best action game. Let me read these off and then I'll catch up on chat. Best action game. For the best game in the action genre, focused primarily on combat, we got Back 4 Blood, Chivalry 2, Deathloop, Far Cry 6, and Returnal. Also, someone asked before, is Returnal nominated for anything? And I could not remember either. It is nominated for best action game. So, James played Resident Evil 6. I wouldn't mind playing some of the older Resident Evil games. Well, older, like the ones I missed, basically. Because I've only played 7, 8, 2 Remake. That's it. Those 3 that I've played in their entirety. I've touched a few of the other ones, but not gone through like them in their entirety. It's also nominated for best direction. Okay, cool to know. 2021 is the year of cult games, a little bit. I think the fact that Metroid and Psychonauts both got sequels like 15 years after the last game in the same year, and they both are almost universally loved, is crazy to me. I would not say Psychonauts 2 is universally loved, but I think the people that love it a lot. Metroid Dread, all the people that played it, I think it's a little bit more universally loved, but it's also like, you know, one that people often skip, and just being Metroid in general. The main says, "Wow, I haven't played any of these. You should play some of these games. I think they can be quite good. Though I haven't played as many of these as I would think. I didn't play Chivalry 2 or Back 4 Blood. Far Cry 6 I beat, boom. Deathloop I beat, boom. Returnal I didn't beat, but I played a decent. I played some of it. I played enough to know that I'm like, you know what, this game's hard, and I don't want to get good enough to beat it. So I'm just not gonna have an opinion." Returnal and Deathloop are head-to-head in the poll on Twitch. My vote here is going to be Deathloop because I have that as my game of the year, so I think it's also obviously the best action game of the year. Though I could see Returnal taking it. I think, do I want to predict that, though, for where the audience is going to vote? You know what? I'm going to say that I'm voting for Deathloop, but I think Returnal's going to win, and I think part of why Returnal will win is because people are going to be like, Returnal deserves to win something. And also, I think Returnal's action might actually be better than Deathloop's action. I think the sum of Deathloop's parts is phenomenal, but I feel like Returnal is so action-oriented that it kind of, I could see it winning in this category, even over Deathloop, even if Deathloop ends up being Game of the Year for generally how people vote. One day we'll get you good enough to play Returnal. I don't know if I want to get good enough to play Returnal right now. I'm like, you know what, we're just going to pass. Best VR/AR, I think I'm going to skip this vote, actually. Because I Expect You to Die 2, which I would love to play. Resident Evil 4, I'm just going to straight up skip this one. I'm just skipping this one. We don't have to do a poll. I'm just going to skip it, because I don't even know how many of y'all could talk about. The only category with Hitman 3, that is kind of a bummer. Innovation and accessibility, I also think I might skip this one for voting because I don't think I have like a big opinion on it. This is recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, and content to help games be played and enjoyed by an even wider audience. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I don't know enough about what... I'm not knowledgeable enough on what makes good accessibility to quite vote on this. I do think, like, I'm thinking of like stuff that stands out, and I think Forza's inclusion of sign language is very cool. And that's something I've really seen before, I think, at all. So part of me is like, that's kind of a first thought. I know a lot of people really are into Far Cry's accessibility. And it does have a lot of options. It is a classic thing of starting you out with the text-to-speech. So that's definitely a notable one. I can't remember actually a lot about Ratchet and Clank and all of it. I think it has like really nuanced difficulty settings. Isn't that one of its like kind of staples for its accessibility stuff? Wish we could get Steve Saylor in here to talk about his kind of... Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, I can't pull him in here quickly enough to do that. You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Forza and Ratchet are probably the most new things with this. Yeah, like I think I might skip this for the sake of I think, do I want to pick Forza? I'm inclined to pick Forza. Look under your chair, right? It's Steve Saylor's commentary. I think Far Cry or Ratchet. Ratchet's ability is similar to Scope of Last of Us 2. We have Steve backstage. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I need to get better at assessing this for the future. Ratchet and Clank had a full button remapping options. Yeah, I think I'm just going to continue, but this is, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who I would pick for this. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how to get super good at this. And to the Game Awards, like, credit, I'm pretty sure they have like kind of an additional layer of how these nominations happen. So it's not like you still nominate as just someone in the industry, but I think they have like additional like vetting for this category specifically, at least I think. But don't super quote me on that because I don't fully remember the details or how much of anything is like forward facing or public facing, but I think they do some extra stuff with this one for that reason. I'm still a little peeved that Forza isn't nominated for Game of the Year. It's just Eugene. Yeah, I think a number of reasons for that. Then my best community support. I think I'm gonna skip this one too because I'm like, I don't know. Best mobile game. I'm skipping this one too. Yeah, we're just gonna press on. All right, let's do best indie together though. What was it? You should check out the podcast that Jeff put out for the Game Awards. I think they talked about that. Ooh, yeah. Is that like how do I find that? Is that just like, do I just search Game Awards on like podcast services? Do I just search Jeff? Is it a thing he did with someone else? Because he also does like pressers that are like very formal, but like through certain avenues. So let me know. Yeah, accessibility and esports have separate people who vote on this. Yes, there we go. Spotify, but I'll look it up. I don't know how it works, but I worry if too few people vote in a category, that's a good way to lose it entirely. So maybe just pick one at random. I think it's okay. Like even when I, again, another peek behind the curtain, when I vote formally, like this is like a public vote that anyone can do. You just go to Game Awards and like you just log in with, you can use like Twitter or whatever to log in and you just vote. Yeah, I only vote on things that I feel like equipped to vote on. So like, that's just part of how I personally vote. I mean, I don't think it's wrong necessarily just to pick something at random, but I feel like if I don't really have an opinion, then I'm kind of just weighing things in weird ways. But when I vote formally too, as part of someone within an outlet, and then the outlet casts its vote, usually in those votings too, you have the option to say like, I did not play enough to give an opinion or something. Inside the Game Awards, this is episode 1. I don't know, fun. Best indie games, let's read them off. So this is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside of the traditional publisher system. 12 Minutes, Death's Door, Inscription, Kino Bridge of Spirits, Loop Hero. One of these things is not like the other. So, y'all already know, 12 Minutes, didn't think it was good, didn't like it, not a fan. Did beat it though, was not a fan. Death's Door, loved it. Awesome. There's some conversation around like, is it overrated or not or whatever? What makes it so great? I don't think it's reinventing the wheel at all, but I think it's really good at what it does. Now I will say Inscription, I think this is the most innovative game that's in here. Loop Hero is also very innovative. Like they're really like pushing for like something a little bit different. Loop Hero is dope, but I wasn't like totally in love with it the way other people were. I thought it was good. I thought it was very good. Keena's really up there. For me, it's a discussion between, like, for me personally, Deathloop, Inscription, and Keena. But when I look at, like, what's the best game here, I would have to go with Death's Door for me, personally. I think Death's Door is the best game on here. So, and I currently have it ranked fairly high in my top 10. I do want to revisit my top 10 and think, like, can we get Keena on there? Like, does that make sense? Trovemans is polling at -30. We got 38% with Inscription for best indie over the poll. With following Death's Door, or like ahead of Death's Door and Keena. So yeah, y'all are kind of with me on those being, I think, the top 3. For me, I'm going Death's Door. How do I think everyone else will vote, or who do I think will win? I think Death's Door will win. I feel like there was a lot of Death's Door love. I think it'll be Death's Door. I feel pretty comfortable predicting Death's Door and voting for Death's Door. Only play Death's Door, and I'm voting for Inscription. Like D&D though, but it's not exceptional in any regard to me. Inscription won. I think I kind of clicked off of it, so my bad if that wasn't right. No, I think you're right. Inscription has lots of positive hype too. It does. And I will say, I don't hear the conversation around Inscription being as negative as is with Death's Door. With Death's Door, there are some people who are like, I just don't get why people love this game so much. And with Inscription, I feel like the only thing against it is the fact that not as many people played it, I think, as like Death's Door. I'm gonna skip ongoing game 2. Let's do games for impact together though. This is for a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message, and the contenders are Before Your Eyes, Boyfriend Dungeon, Chicory, A Colorful Tale, Life is Strange, True Colors, and No Longer Home. I did not play No Longer Home. What the heck? I thought I played everything in this category. I'm shocked I missed one of these games in my life. Well, I gotta check out No Longer Home then. Now I'm kind of feeling salty because I thought I had my hand on the pulse and I missed this game. Boyfriend Dungeon, generally one of the most progressive games I've ever played. Really? For me, this category is interesting because obviously to get nominated, you have to have like that thought-provoking, pro-social meaning or message. But then when it comes to voting, it's like, do you vote on who has the most impactful message? Or do you vote on like, what's the best game? For me, I go with the best game. Like, because I'm thinking like the category is games that had an impact. And it's what is the best game that also had an impact? That's how I read that category. Let me know how y'all read that category. I want Life is Strange to win something, but I don't think it's this. Same feelings. I would love Before Your Eyes to win something. But if I'm going with, this is the best game that also happens to have a pro-social message, I gotta go Chicory. And I think too, I would be okay not voting for Chicory if like Chicory didn't have such a cool and good and powerful message. Like, I think there are so much of my PlayStation 5 console up until like a few weeks ago when I deleted all my media because I had like 200 gigabytes of videos and pictures. So much was screenshots of Chicory dialogue scenes, just like back to back to back banger lines, really moving stuff, really powerful, really thought-provoking. I gotta go Chicory. Who do I think what do I think is gonna win? I think Life is Strange will win. I feel like no one played Chicory except for me and 8 other people. And I don't think that's going to be it. But it got nominated. So I don't know. But I think Life is Strange, it's also the most like powerful game in terms of like publisher backing and stuff. Like it's the only game that like you might not consider an indie game from this list. Doesn't say it doesn't deserve it. I think it's a fantastic game and I'd be very happy for Life is Strange True Colors. But Chicory is my vote here. No Longer Home came out October 7th, I think, so it's pretty recent. I agree with that interpretation. Just like best action game, it's the best game in the category, not the game with the best action. I highly recommend it. It's on Game Pass. I tried Boyfriend Dungeon. Seems like my kind of game. I have it. I wasn't that into it, but I might, go back to it. I don't know. Boyfriend Dungeon's in the lead here. I'm surprised. Maybe it gets like super deep and I like should have saw through, but I just didn't like the gameplay very much. I felt like it was a little bit on the weaker end for me. No votes for Chicory in the chat. Y'all need to go play Chicory. Y'all need to put some respect on this dog. This little dog that you play as. I'm voting for Chicory. Best performance. Yeah, I'm down to do this. Okay, sure. So we got Erica Mori as Alex Chen. We got Giancarlo Esposito as Anton Castillo. Jason Kelly as Colt Vaughn. Maggie Robertson as Lady Dimitrescu. And Ozioma Akaga as Juliana Blake. Apologies if I butchered anybody's names there. I forgot to try to listen to them beforehand. For me, this could go in either way. Ignore that my Pinterest stuff that I've logged in here. What do I want? I'm gonna go with, and it's funny that I'm thinking of this because I actually did formally vote before, and I'm like trying to remember all my picks and things. But I think I'm going with Erica Mori as Alex Chen, for me personally. Lady Dimitrescu carried that game's marketing, and I think she is very incredibly well voice acted, and I think that voice actress is very talented. I also love Juliana and Colt. I think their back and forth quips and the way they deliver those lines really make the game. And even though I do have beef with Giancarlo Esposito once again being casted for a Latino role, despite not being Latino, which he always gets casted for these roles, and it's, I have those issues. But looking at just his performance, he did kill it as Anton Castillo. He was horrifying. He really helped carry that story. But the reason I want to pick Erica Mori as Alex Chen, part of it, I'm not going to front, I probably do want Life is Strange to get some flowers. So I think that is playing a little bit of a role in my voting here. But I also think that in a game like Life is Strange True Colors, it really, more so than any of the other games, lives and dies on being able to be acted well and being able to deliver lines well and having so much to, you need to get people into this character. This character needs to be believable. It's so important. And I think that it knocked it out of the park with this. So that's why I'm leaning on Erica Mori as Alex Chen. Other people's thoughts. So we have... most anticipated game makes me want to play Stray. I need it. Loving seeing all these women in POC. I gotta go with Maggie, but I like Colt and Juliana. Still haven't played Chicory. You should play Chicory. It's my never-ending list. Maggie Robertson. I'd like to see any of them win except Giancarlo. Good, just not as good or interesting as anyone else. Yeah, I also think Giancarlo is such a huge name. No offense to these other people, because I'm sure they've had obviously they're having successful careers, right? They're out here winning awards and getting nominated for things. But I feel like Giancarlo is such a boring pick for this. Even though I think he did well. I think he did well. I don't want to not acknowledge that. But yeah, Erica Mori, I think for me. Jason in the chat says, Maggie is great, but I'm not sure if she's in the game enough to top the others. That's true too. Haven't played Village yet, but I heard Lady wasn't even in the game that much. Yeah, I would say she's in about 25% of the game. This is spoilers for the game in a sense. Structurally, there are characters that have their big moments, and her moment is in the beginning, and then it's basically kind of done. Y'all are also going with Alex. Who do I think will win? You know what? I don't know who's gonna win. I'm gonna predict Erica as well for who's actually gonna win. But if it's not her, I feel like it'll be Maggie Robertson if it's not Erica. That's my prediction. But I don't know. Okay. Best audio design. So here are the description and the nominees. Best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. Deathloop. Forza Horizon 5. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, Returnal. For me, this is a category where I go Resident Evil Village. What's up, Battle Rob? How you doing? I'm going to go Resident Evil Village because, one, I'll always have good sound design, right? I think horror lives and dies on its ability to convey sound in an accurate and powerful way. And I think Village does knock it out of the park with that. I think in general, I do have a little bit of a bias towards horror games or games where I feel like the sound is really important. That being said, Forza Horizon 5, the cars do sound really good. I know it sounds kind of trivial, but hearing that engine, I literally will listen to my own music in Forza Horizon 5, but I leave the sound design on because the sound design is so much part of that experience for me of the revving of the engines. So I think I want to shout that out. Deathloop also has some fun sound design because Deathloop is so cheeky in its movement, like the way you like melee attack people. It's got some like good crunches in there. So I like that too, but I think I'm leaning on Resident Evil Village for this. Wow, everyone's up on Returnal for this in the poll. 6 to like a bunch. Love all the Returnal love in the chat. Yeah, I will admit that I don't know a lot about its sound design offhand. Like that doesn't stick out to me as much. This is also a category that I really want to work on for next year. Obviously the end all be all in game stuff is not just like about what is that? It's not just about the Game Awards. Like there's so many other outlets, you know, Kind of Funny I'm sure is going to do some stuff. We're trying to do something on PS I Love You. MidMax has their awards. I'd like to throw something together. I don't know if I'll do anything. We'll see. But I also think we often have the same categories like audio and sound design and OST, and I want to get a little bit better at taking notes on that next year, because I feel like Ratchet and Clank sound design, I'm sure it was good, but I can't really like discuss it in a high level, and I want to be able to. The Tickets Awards, Returnal 1 in the chat. I'm going Village, and I'm gonna say I'm gonna vote for Village, but I think Returnal's gonna win. That's my guess, especially based on this poll as well. Best score in music. We have. I'm gonna drink some water because I'm starting to get hoarse from going through all these. We're almost done with this section of the stream. Okay, we have best score in music for outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song and or licensed soundtracks. The Artful Escape, Cyberpunk 2077, Deathloop, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Nier Replicant version 1.22474487139. I will say I don't have an opinion on Nier, so I can't comment on that. I do know people like their music a lot. The Artful Escape, no. I thought the music in The Artful Escape was actually one of the worst parts of the game. I think the only thing in this game that was really, really good was the art direction. The art direction was gorgeous. But I thought the music was actually really disappointing to me, because it was a lot of just like really grandiose strumming, but without actual like music. Like it didn't feel like full songs or ideas. It was just like a kind of passable beat. I haven't even played Nier, and I would vote for that. I own the soundtrack on vinyl. Guardians is a fun soundtrack in terms of licensed music, but I think it is. I always prefer original OST to license stuff, and I don't think I haven't played enough of Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy to really comment on it, but I feel like that's not where I'm leaning on. And then Deathloop, yeah, I don't. You know what? I'm not really vibing with any of this music. I'm kind of inclined to say maybe Deathloop. There were some songs in Deathloop that I really liked a lot, and I do like the main theme of Deathloop a lot. The da-na-na-na-na. It's the only theme that I think I actually remember from this year, to be honest. So I'm inclined to go Deathloop, to be honest. I think that's probably what I'm voting for on this, even though none of y'all have voted for this in the chat. But this is Deathloop, and I also listened to that. That's the only soundtrack this year that I listened to outside of the game. Toxic Illusion. Yeah, it's I actually low-key fuck with this. Yes, this is my vote. Near Being Here is also sort of weird because it's a remaster / re-release of a new game, but whatever. Yeah, that's everything too. Like it gets kind of messy with that. A lot of y'all saying Guardians, but it's very split. Some people are the Deathloop love is coming in. All right. What do I think is gonna win though? I have no idea what's gonna win in this. You know what? I'm going to say Guardians of the Galaxy is going to win. So I'm voting Deathloop, but my prediction is Guardians is going to win. And hey, those are the things that tied in Twitch. So yeah, I think Guardians because people low-key love that game. And I do think it has a fun use of music. So yeah, okay, we're almost through. Only a few categories remain. Let's move on to Best Art Direction. This is for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. This includes some fun games, some really fun, beautiful games in here. We got The Artful Escape, Deathloop, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. To be honest, the more I think about it, Psychonauts 2 actually might deserve to win this category because they do have some funky stuff in there. Like, they be wilding out in Psychonauts 2. Like, you have that level where, which I know this is like some people have like teeth phobia, but like they have like a level of just floating teeth, and it's just a weird fever dream of a game. So I'm kind of inclined to say that, but I have not played enough of it and was not as like enamored by it. For me, my vote on this is The Artful Escape. I think The Artful Escape, is it a great game? Is it even a good game? In my opinion, no. But it is so beautiful. It is like one of the most beautiful looking games I have ever played in terms of art direction. I think the Artful Escape, like it looks gorgeous. Almost any screenshot from that game could be a print I would hang on my wall, like hands down. It's beautiful. So that's my vote personally. Deathloop, I mean, it has fun designs. Like, I like the character design and like kind of that Art Deco 70s stuff it has going on for it, but that's kind of the extent of it. In the chat, Psychonauts 2 is leading. I think that's a very fair thing. For me, I'm voting for Artful Escape, and my prediction is that Psychonauts 2 will win, because it's very creative. The uniqueness of each environment of Psychonauts 2 is pretty impressive. I would agree with that. This is the only category where I would be okay with Artful Escape winning. Beautiful game. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Like, it's so pretty. Again, not the game itself, not really a fan. Nope, not a fan. But the art of the game, that is award-winning art. It is really, really, really well done. So yeah, that's my vote. And I'm with y'all, though, in terms of like who I think is going to win. Like, y'all seem to show out for Psychonauts 2 in this category, with that leading the poll right now. And I would agree with that in terms of what I think is going to win. My vote is Artful Escape. That's my vote. I don't know what's going to end up being at the end of the day, but that is where I'm leaning on. I'll give it a few more moments for people to vote in the poll, just kind of see where everyone else is at. And then we'll be moving on to our next category, which is Best Narrative. For outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game, we got Deathloop. Psychonauts 2 won the vote in the chat. We got Deathloop, It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, and Psychonauts 2. So it's funny because a lot of people, like when I saw Guardians in here, I'm like, really, Guardians of the Galaxy? Then I started playing it and I'm like, this game's really well written. I'm kind of shocked. But for me, Tukasari said in the chat, y'all already know what it is. It's Life is Strange. Again, full transparency, I did not beat Marvel's the Guardians of the Galaxy yet. Psychonauts 2 I also did not beat. But I beat the other three. I beat Deathloop, I beat It Takes Two, I beat Life is Strange. It Takes Two, I actually think, has a pretty muted story. A lot of people seem to like love the idea of, oh, you have to put aside your like beef and kind of like find a more amicable place for your divorce. But I don't think that in itself is like so mind-blowing. Like, I think the way they deliver the story isn't super powerful, and I think where they ultimately end up is the way I describe it, which is kind of maybe a little bit harsh. I think it's a coward's ending. I think they end it very ambiguously. Light spoilers that it's kind of an ambiguous ending. You can interpret it however you want to. It's a very inoffensive ending, but I think in not offending anybody, they didn't end up saying anything. So that's my beef with It Takes Two. Mr. Yasmin says, hi, what's good? How did I see the Mass Effect news? I did not. Feel free to share, because I have not noticed anything. Does it have environmental narrative? It does have some environmental narrative, and that I think maybe that is what I think that's a good thing to bring up, Jason, that it has that going for it, and I think that is well done, but I don't think that's enough to like have you get best narrative because of the environmental storytelling. Amazon is in talks with EA and BioWare to make a Mass Effect show. Oh, okay, that's cool. I've not really played through the Mass Effect games in their entirety, and I'm not like a big fan of like games being adapted into other mediums. I'm not against it because like get your bag and like, you know, it can be cool. I mean, we've seen the inverse happen too, and I'm excited for like the HBO Last of Us show because I feel like that game's already a TV show. But yeah, I'm not usually clamoring for that, but that's cool for those who are really into that universe. What else do we got? Psychonauts 2. TBD on that for me because I did not play through it all. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy surprised me. That was hard to say. But Life is Strange True Colors, I think, has one of the best stories like ever. Well, not ever, that sounds so extreme, but like one of the best stories of the year. Definitely the best story of the year, actually, from how I'm voting, right? Yeah, it's very moving. It's very well written. And I think they use a lot of like really creative ideas to tell their story that surprised me in a game that is ultimately like fairly straightforward, and like it's a narrative game and it's like a walking sim, but they did a lot of like funky, interesting, fun stuff with it. So that's my vote. Who do I think's gonna win? You know what? I am gonna say, God, I don't know who I think's gonna win. I want to say Life is Strange True Colors, but to be honest, I could see Guardians or It Takes Two taking it. I don't think it'll be Psychonauts 2 or this could go to anybody. If I have to predict, like I can only pick one prediction, I'm gonna go with oh man, I don't know what to do. I don't know. It Takes Two is what I'm gonna go with because I feel like more people played that and liked the story, even though I didn't like the story like that. Oh snap, Frog Knight, Joshy G, thank you for the 2 gifteds over to Ronnie H and Toby Blue. It might be Guardians is still fresh on people's minds. Yeah, and I have seen a lot of love for that. And I think that love is warranted. I think it actually is a very well-written game. All right, y'all, we're down to the final 2. And we're bringing it back around, ending with the Game of the Year conversation. But let's do Best Game Direction. This is awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design, with the nominees being Deathloop, It Takes Two, Returnal, Psychonauts 2, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. I do think game direction is kind of awkward. It's always, I feel like this is just Game of the Year, the remix for a category. I always struggle to like remind myself, okay, the idea of vision and innovation in design. And then, so I'm trying to think of almost like, even though we just had this conversation on like, what do you award the best game in the category or who does the category the best? And for this one, I do kind of lean a little bit more on like the innovation part, because I think that's really what differentiates it from Game of the Year at this point. I'm inclined to say Deathloop for this, because I think it was really well designed. Like, you, not only in it's not roguelike element, it's time loop thing. I think the way that it went about telling story and piecing things together and like the flow of how the days worked and stuff, like I think it was pretty damn cool. Returnal, since it got snubbed, hey, you can vote for, just because you're like, I just like this game, and that's a lot of people I'm sure are voting that way, especially like for the greater public. Not so much maybe like critics. I assume that, you know, that you'd be a little bit more tactful if you have like full voting power or whatever. But yeah, you know, and like I mentioned at the top, any of y'all can do this voting. I'm not doing this voting as like min-max or Kind of Funny or Game Honest. It's just me, Janet Garcia, logged in to the Game Awards website like anyone else can log in as part of the public. And I used to do this all the time, even, you know, long before I was more known. I have fun voting on these, and I think it's you know, if you care to any degree, even though it's not that deep, right? But if you care about like who wins or whatever, yeah, go out there and vote, and you know, maybe your vote will help push it the way you want to go. I think it's fun that they have that public voting option. Actually, with Deathloop would have just been a rogue light or like Dishonored 2. Either Deathloop or Returnal makes sense for the category. Other people were saying, I feel like, right now Returnal's leading in the poll. I feel like Deathloop promised us autonomy, but they held our hand the whole time, and the ending was cheap. You are not wrong, Jace. It was way less, but I think if they gave us more autonomy, you would just get lost. But you're not wrong, right? Like, it was way less freeform than I thought it would be. No, you're actually in time for the Game of the Year discussion, Zanfair, because we're working backwards. So there we go. I'm gonna vote Deathloop on this one though. So you're actually just in time. Oh yeah, wait, and then prediction for this. I'm predicting that maybe I'm gonna predict Deathloop as well. Screw it. Game of the Year, y'all. We're here. We made it. Yeah, I worked backwards from categories because I figured Game of the Year is kind of like the most interesting one. You know, it's like the big finale, right? Well, let me get lost. It Takes Two, baby. Is what Chuka says in the chat. Game of the Year. So here's what we got. Though the poll lets us do 6 or 5 things, so I don't even know if we can really poll this properly. I'm not sure if anyone has an idea for that. Though feel free to just also write in the chat. Not everything needs to be a poll, but game of the year. Recognizing a game that delivers the absolute best experience across all creative and technical fields. Very grandiose title here. We have Deathloop, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. 3 and 3? We could do 3 and 3. Sure, let's do 3 and 3. It means I don't know if you're around to do poll stuff. I can also just toss it up there. Let me see. Let me do this then. Let's see. Game of the year. Let's see, Deathloop. I sort of have a solution. Ooh, what's your solution? Hold on, let me stop then. Ooh, what's this? Ah, in chat about Resident Evil. Okay, I like that solution. So if you have Resident Evil, go ahead. Well, actually, it's not Tookus Talk, because Tookus Talk says It Takes Two is their game of the year, right? For me, it's Deathloop by a good margin, actually. Funnily enough, like my top 6 games, I don't even know if Metroid Dread is in my top 6. I think it is. Let me see. I have it on. If we go to pentapixels.com, let's be real, no one's voting for Resident Evil. You're not wrong. I think this goes to it goes to my website. Okay, so if you go to my website and go to lists, or even just scroll down, is it Uncle Death? I might not be reading that right. Thank you for the follow. We have best games of the year so far. October update. I have to update it again for the end of the year. Yeah, Metroid Dread is in my top 6, but it's not there's my number 1 game, which is Deathloop. That's my game of the year. That's also my guess for what's gonna win. That's both. It's my prediction and my vote. But for me, my personal top 6 would be Deathloop, Life is Strange True Colors, Chicory, Before Your Eyes, Metroid Dread, and Bravely Default 2 would be my top 6. Are you telling me the Medium wasn't nominated? Metroid is my game of the year. The game of the year in my heart, but I guess Deathloop. Fair. Y'all really like Psychonauts 2. I will play Psychonauts 2. Not today, but I need to get around to it. Maybe I'll do it this weekend, because I'm kind of taking some time off for the break. I'm not streaming on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm kind of taking a little Thanksgiving break for myself, so maybe during that time I can dig into Psychonauts 2 some more. I think Deathloop is taking this, but maybe Metroid Dread. For y'all want Psychonauts 2, and then Deathloop, and then Ratchet, then Metroid, then It Takes Two. I kind of wish Deathloop or Psychonauts 2 takes it, just to give Microsoft some recognition. I mean, yeah, I see what you mean there, but I don't know, where the cards fall where they fall. Let me go ahead and cast my vote for Game of the Year. Vote submitted. There we go. And now we are all voted. Here are my badges. You get little badges, apprenticed, adapted. Did I really only vote in 10 categories? I feel like I did vote in 20. Become a TGA insider. I don't know how to do these other things, but that's me. I just connected it to my Twitter. I just logged in via Twitter. But again, so y'all, this was our Game Awards discussion and voting / predictions. Thank y'all so much for joining me here. We still have more stuff for this stream, but this is the end of this portion of the stream. And I will clip this out and post this on YouTube, which my YouTube channel is youtube.com/GameOnasis. I don't know if I have a command for that. I don't have a command for it, but it is what it is. I'll get a command for that if I don't already have one, but it's youtube.com/GameOnasis. So feel free to check that out if you missed other parts of the stream. So yeah. Those are my votes and my predictions. We'll see how it all shakes out when the Game Awards happens in December. And again, a reminder that I just did this as a member of the public. You can go to the GameAwards.com as well, and just log in with whatever means you want to and vote for the stuff that you want to see win. And we'll see where it all shakes out in December.